How do we live more and stress less? I mean, when you boil it down, that's what all of us want, right? Y'all, we are not meant to be in constant survival mode. We're just not. We're like cheetahs. Cheetahs cannot run 80 miles an hour all the time, every day, everywhere they go. They'll drop dead. And when we live in constant survival mode, it is like we're expecting ourselves to run as fast as a cheetah constantly. You have every right, even when it's a little scary, to face that fear and learn to live more, thrive, and put down surviving. I wanted to break down and offer a more soulful bucket list filled with teeny tiny but mighty mini experiences that support thriving mode by lifting us up, by giving us new novelty, which makes us feel alive in terms of experience. Not a checklist for status or achievement, but a sanctuary of experiences that nourish your nervous system, expand your worthiness, and help you remember and get to know who you truly are. Many of you have found my work because of a life lived in survival mode. So many highly sensitive people are living in this mode, and it's unsustainable. It burns us out on life. It gives us heart attacks young. It takes a toll, y'all. I lived the first 35 years of my life in a constant, and I mean a constant, survival mode, thinking that I would never be able to break out of it. I thought that's all life was, and it was a very, very depressing thought and way of living and being. I didn't think I'd ever be able to truly calm down on my insides. I might be able to pull it together and look calm at work or in a job interview, but I didn't ever really feel calm internally. I didn't really know how to enjoy life. I certainly laughed. I certainly had joyous moments, but I had an internal cranked up, raw survivor edge to every moment I was alive. I didn't think I'd ever have peace. And I certainly didn't think I'd ever have, this is increasingly one of my favorite words, satisfaction. A real grounded, deep satisfaction with myself and with life, despite how hard and unfair life can be sometimes. I have so much satisfaction, certainly not perfect satisfaction, that's not available. And I have so much more peace. Y'all, we are not meant to be in constant survival mode. We're just not. We're like cheetahs. Cheetahs cannot run 80 miles an hour all the time, every day, everywhere they go. They'll drop dead. And when we live in constant survival mode, it is like we're expecting ourselves to run as fast as a cheetah constantly. The cheetah's not meant to do that. The cheetah's meant to run fast in short bursts. And we are meant to be in survival mode for short bursts, not extended periods of time. You are not here to just get through life. You're here to feel life, to savor it, and to let it change you in quiet and beautiful ways. This is our birthright. This is what makes us feel alive instead of surviving and barely getting by. If we were born into family systems that had a whole lot of trauma, chaos, unsafety, if our parents had a pathological immaturity that created wildly inadequate parenting, that leaves a deeply empathic child feeling lost, doubtful, unsure, confused, even unworthy, then we enter adulthood feeling underdeveloped. We feel underprepared for life, like we are catching up constantly, like we are never quite there where we want to be. And that is a desperation. It creates a disgust, a malaise for life. It makes life feel like a slog. These are the kids that grow up to become adults who overthink, who people please, who give all of their energy away and then are resentful when other people take and don't give. They tend to live in states of confusion, overwhelm, and burnout. It can wind up feeling very bitter. I was certainly on a road to feel bitter, angry, disconnected, and apathetic. Miserable, really. Modern life's hectic pacing and bureaucratic ways, the constant pings of our devices, y'all, email, customer service, being in the toilet in Western culture, where most of the people we get customer service from act like they don't want to do the job, they don't want to be there, and they don't want to help. The high financial cost of nearly everything. These modern, normalized stressors, they're not helping. So how do we live more and stress less, y'all? What I have for you today is a soulful bucket list. Now, I don't know about you, but every bucket list conversation or creation that I've ever made for myself, or I've been privy to in my friends or my family or my clients, every bucket list seems to center on what I'm going to call the biggies. It makes sense to us, right? Of course. I know you have some biggies on that list. I have some biggies on that list. People with exploring, seeking spirits often want to travel the world, right? That's a biggie. Or buy their dream home, another biggie. The people who feel connection to animals, they want to go to faraway lands or sanctuaries or on safari. The people who thrive on physical challenge, they want to do a marathon or their first half triathlon. These are the biggies that we associate with a bucket list. A bucket list being the things that we want to do before we die, the things that we want to check off of this life. Bucket list before we kick the bucket. These are the things that we want to do. Family-oriented people might want to have a huge and complete big old giant family reunion, full on with the reunion t-shirts, right? Educational seekers may bucket list going back to school to complete their degree or to go for a master's or a PhD. My seeker spirit in this stage of my life seems to be yearning for more nature. I've been forming the bucket list biggie for myself of wanting a hobby farm. These are great, awesome, big things, y'all. Nothing wrong with the biggies, but they're biggies, We don't get biggies all day, multiple times a day. I wanted to break down and offer a more soulful bucket list filled with teeny tiny but mighty mini experiences that support thriving mode by lifting us up, by giving us new novelty, which makes us feel alive in terms of experience. Little teeny tiny but mighty experiences are really the things in our daily mundane lives that help us get outside of our heads and into living our lives. That's what the shift from survival to thriving is. So I hope this list inspires you to sort of creatively piggyback on what I'm offering, or that I'm kickstarting a brainstorming session for you to sit down with yourself and make a list and make it your own soulful bucket list. Please borrow and modify anything and everything that I offer you in healing here for this list, but also everything that I offer and everything in this world. Make it your own. Consider what you want, what you need, what will grow you, and what will make this one precious life yours in the end. If someone asks me the question, hey, what is the meaning of life? My current answer is something like, to live as fully as we can, with as much peace and joy as possible, whatever that means to each of us. In our Western consumerism society, it's easy to overlook the importance of what is easy and simple. So here it is, my bucket list for your spirit. Not a checklist for status or achievement, but a sanctuary of experiences that nourish your nervous system, expand your worthiness, and help you remember and get to know who you truly are. Here are 20 soul-honoring experiences for your path. 1. Witness a sunrise in stillness. Now, maybe you've seen the sunrise a bunch, but without the stillness. That means no camera, no phone trying to take the perfect Instagrammable shot, no chit-chat with your partner or your pet, just you and the sunrise, you and your breath, and the sky waking up. That's it. You get to give yourself this kind of soulful moment. As the day wakes up and comes alive, you get to come alive. Take in natural beauty. It's so underrated in modern life. We have ancient hardware, y'all, in our minds and our bodies. This is ancient hardware. We might have all this new technology. None of this human being that I am is new. It's ancient. I believe we were meant to sleep under the gaze of the stars more than we do. And that we're meant to wake with the first rays of light, the morning songs of stirring birds, a real awakening into the day. Now, I know you're tired. I know there's too much on your to-do list. I know the comfiness of the bed and the covers are a strong calling in the morning. It's a big ask if you are surviving life to get your booty out of bed earlier to do something positive for you. But I invite you to challenge yourself, especially if you're not an early riser, to witness a sunrise in stillness as a way to refresh and awaken the soul. Number 2. I already said it as a sneak peek. Sleep under the stars. Sleep outside under the stars, y'all, where the quiet hum of the earth can wrap you in safety and wonder. All of the natural elements right there, no walls between ourselves and our natural birthright. Now, I camp and I backpack in the Rocky Mountains, but I've always done it in a tent. And I know I have a little beef with tent makers. Like, why do we not have clear tent tops in this day and age? I'm ready for that technology. Anybody out there listening to me? But that's just seeing the top of the tent. I thought about it last summer and I didn't pull it off before it got too cold up here. So this summer, I plan to sleep on my open porch in my sleeping bag, under the stars and under the moon, with nothing between me and the great abyss of space. I have a simple little goal of one night out under the stars. But if I love it, I could very much see most of my summer nights spent out there. So what would happen? What would it take for you to orchestrate giving yourself a night under the stars? Number 3, write a letter to your younger self and one to your future self. And keep them somewhat sacred. What happens if you allow yourself to connect with the younger version of yourself who was trying so hard to figure things out? What if you wrote to him or her from your hard-earned wisdom that you have earned of today? What happens inside of yourself if you acknowledge how far you've come, how much you've learned? What would it be like to go through the exercise of writing to your younger self and offering encouragement that there is no world where you don't make it through and get all the way to today? What would happen if you offered not just encouragement, but love and support, the kind of love and support I know you have wanted from other people in your life and often not gotten? What would happen if you offered that to your younger self today and for your older self too? What do you want for him or her? I said earlier, I want a hobby farm for my older self. I also want peace. I also want simple joys. I want ease in my body, ease in my mind, a lessening of my chronic pain that stress can so easily trigger. I turned 45 this year. The message I want to send to my future self is that I am taking very good care of her, not just in body, but in mind too. I do that for her as much as for me. I respect her, and I want her to have the most satisfying and active later years possible because I love her. I'm grateful for every day and every month and every year that I get to have this privilege of aging. That's why you're not going to hear me bitch about wrinkles or aging. I don't do Botox. I don't do plastic surgery. I don't do filler, and I will not. If you do that stuff, you do you, and high five yourself about it. But for me, it's very important to me to age well, but to age as naturally as I can, and to embrace it instead of fighting it, embrace it instead of fearing it, more than embrace it, actually love it. One of the things I'm most excited about for 2025 is that I have made my first physical, tangible product. It is my Patternscapes deck. It is a mindfulness and meditation deck that, just like my work, just like you've come to know of me, I give you actionable things for you to do the emotional strength training that will bring you to the internal integration and the emotional strength training that helps you feel more secure, more grounded, more peaceful, lighter, and easier. The deck contains 50 cards and a 70-page workbook, so you can dive just as deeply as you'd like. Feedback from Patternscapes has been that it is me in a box, that people have been shocked at how impactful this deck is to their lives. I've even had someone say, wow, this is finally key to me quitting smoking cigarettes. If you would like a tangible that you can take out and hold when you are having a struggle, when you are strength training, this is it. Come to getpatternscapes.com or go to emotionalbadass.com to order yours today. Shipping is free, and if you want 2 or 3 to give as gifts, we have significant discounts for you. Light and love, and I hope you all continue to have fun with Patternscapes. Number 4, take a solo retreat, even if just for a day. Now, this doesn't even have to be a full day or anything fancy. Remember, we're talking about simple joys, the tiny but mighty things that we can do that bring life force to the minutes that we are alive. Maybe you always go to a bookstore. This doesn't have to be a trip out of town. Maybe you always go to a bookstore with your family or a friend. Maybe it's a big deal for you to go on such an outing yourself. Meet yourself right where you are with this. Maybe you're the mother of a newborn. Maybe a solo trip really is just a 20-minute quick trip to the corner store or a walk around a park to clear your head, get your blood moving. Or maybe you want to travel and your partner or spouse doesn't, and you finally let yourself take that trip you've always wanted to go on, but no one wanted to accompany you. And you finally take yourself because you're enough. This is not an idea, going solo to do anything, that is very supported in our society. When I lived in Houston, I used to go to the movies by myself quite a lot. If I mentioned this to anyone, I mean a stranger or somebody I knew, it was inevitable that I would hear some version of, oh my God, that is so sad. I would have gone with you. Why didn't you ask me? Or, don't go alone. Oh my God, that makes me so sad. And I would explain, I like going alone. I like the solitude. There's nothing wrong with being by myself. It is as if there is a collective fear out there. Talk about caring what other people think if you allow this to rob you of doing a solo anything. Society right now can really miss the importance of this solitude. It can poo-poo it. It poo-poos not just solitude, silence, stillness. There's some kind of fear of missing out, like you're missing out if you don't bring another person, instead of, hey, it's lovely that you can take yourself on a date. I think we have a deep-rooted fear of stillness at this point in modern existence. And it's masked by a societally supported hustle culture. Always be together, always be chatty, never get still, never go inward. Solitude is a reset. And resetting is sort of like a vitamin that sensitive people, we just need more of, y'all. And if other people never understand that about me, about you, I don't want to stress myself out. I'm not like other people. I don't need to live and do life like other people. They wouldn't want to do life like me. I don't have to tell myself I need to do life like other people. It doesn't matter if everyone in your family or social circles never chooses stillness or solitude and seems to not need it, value it, want it, or do it. But if you need this, solitude, stillness, taking yourself on solo trips or little mini excursions or dates, please don't confuse this or overcomplicate it. Just please simply give this to yourself, because nobody else can. Nobody will come along and bestow upon you the solitude that you need. We have to take time for ourselves. It's a taking. It's an active endeavor. To choose stillness is a sort of activation for ourselves. out of self-worth and self-love. But it has to come from you deciding. So choose stillness over stimulation. Let silence be your companion and see what happens. See how you might get to know who you are in a way that you can't know until you meet yourself there. In a way that you can't know until you meet yourself right there. Number 5, forgive someone without ever telling them, and watch the space it frees inside your body. Now, if forgiveness as a concept makes you bristle and shows you that you are still processing anger, this might be a good time to come join the Patreon. You can find a recent and archived live stream Q&A where I dive deeply into the consciousness of forgiveness, into how it works, how it doesn't work, how it dances with anger, and how we can understand and use forgiveness as a tool to lighten our own human load as we move through life. Now, I've said publicly, and the truth is I have never said it directly to her, and I don't suspect I ever will, that I do forgive my mother. Yes, the very same mother who was as cold as ice to me and handed me to my abuser who would adopt me and sexually violate all of her children. And she never apologized. And that truly was the best that my mother could and would do for me. And if that's a new concept to you, that even the people that hurt us are in some way doing their best, if that brings anger, you're just in the anger phase of your grief. That's okay to be there. I couldn't be in the space of forgiveness for a very long time because I had to move through my anger. I didn't think I would ever be able to or ever want to offer forgiveness, and yet I got there. I do think it is a natural road to travel as a seeker. The fact that this was my mother's best is an absolute tragedy in her life and in mine. The nuance here is that my human part believes that certain acts, like child sexual abuse or not protecting your child, are unforgivable acts. But the spiritual part of me believes that forgiveness is a gift of release. And when my human parts hunker down and go, oh no, this is an unforgivable thing, I can then tap into my spiritual side and say, I understand that my human part feels and thinks that about it. I don't have to argue with that part. I don't have to get that part to change. I can tap into my spiritual side. And that part of me, I don't need all of me on board. That part of me can understand that, wow, she made tragic decisions. And that was her best. I forgive her that tragedy. Forgiveness is a gift of release. It is a way to transform the pain another person places into your lap so that it doesn't stay in your lap just because somebody else showed up and put it there. I forgive my mother for the tragedy of her human decisions, but not for the unforgivable acts. Forgiveness is nuanced, it's complicated, it's multi-layered, particularly when your own family, who's supposed to be your safe place to fall, are also your abusers. And anyone speaking about or to forgiveness, painting a picture with too wide of a brush or too much simplicity, like, oh yeah, everyone should forgive. Just forgive and you'll feel lighter, may be very well intended, but may be ignorant of the complexity of this kind of forgiveness. We are human beings and we are spiritual beings, not one or the other in my book. So if you want to take on this spiritual bucket list item, I can encourage you to not start with the most difficult case or person. I certainly didn't forgive my mother first. I had to learn how to forgive with the smaller things. Frankly, the easier things, to build up my forgiveness muscles. Because I was raised by people that didn't apologize, own things, or forgive. That was very convoluted for me. Often healing is sorting these things out so that we can have a clarity that our families were incapable of giving or providing to us. So forgive the person who mindlessly cuts in front of you at the store in line. Start there. Or forgive the person who honked at you driving when they were obviously in the wrong, driving erratically. Just as an exercise. Like what I did this morning. Forgive your cat for taking a dump on the rug instead of the litter box. Thank you, Mr. Merlin, for being a guru in my life of forgiveness. Also, consider forgiving yourself too. For anything you're holding a grudge or a disappointment or a shoulda, coulda, woulda, anything that you're holding in that regard against yourself, a frustration, disappointment, and anger that you couldn't have done it any better than you did it. Consider some permission to let that go, even if you don't know what that means in this moment. Start with the permission. I promise you that harboring resentment, anger, frustration, it doesn't make diamonds. It doesn't change the other person. It doesn't punish them. It punishes you. Forgiveness can be emotionally strength trained, y'all. And yes, emotional strength training. That is the name of my group coaching program. If you want to spend time with me, emotionally strength training for the very things that will give you more peace in this life, come to my website, come book a call with my team and see if that's right for you. Because what we do is we emotionally strength train for this life to make it easier on ourselves. If we're not going to commit to figuring out how to make this life easier on ourselves, who the hell is going to show up and make it easier on us? I have cultivated over these 19 years of being a trauma therapist the easiest, simplest ways to do the hardest work of healing ourselves and shifting from surviving to thriving. Your life can be easier internally no matter what has happened or will in the bigger world or your personal world. That I promise you. Number 6. All right, I want you to get a little dirty with this one, okay? Get a little dirty and plant something with your hands. Get all up into the dirt, y'all. Plant something with your hands and then visit that plant regularly like a dear friend. Get a house plant if you don't have outdoor space. If you follow me on YouTube, if you're in one of my communities, you've likely seen some video in my space of some of my plants. Touching dirt, touching earth. It matters to us feeling grounded, a part of something bigger than ourselves. I want you to touch this plant, smell it, smell the earth, gaze at it, absorb it. Y'all hear me talk about observing, not absorbing when we're with other people and they have dysfunctional energies. But when it comes to a plant, that's a place where you can absolutely fully absorb. Be with that plant. Talk to it. The first plants I was ever able to keep alive were in my first brick and mortar therapy office. They heard people's pain and they grew from it. I went from full black thumb. So I don't want to hear any, Nikki, I have a black thumb. I kill everything. So did I. And in my darkest, depressed seasons, my thumb was the blackest. But the more I learned the nuances of taking care of me, there's a parallel. The more I learn the nuances of taking care of plants. Today, my plants are my friends. And if that sounds super corny to you, that's okay. I thoroughly enjoy the simplicity of my plant friends. Their quiet solidarity, their support. They clean my air and beautify my space. In these ways, they hold me. And you know what? My plants, the ones who have lasted with me for years and years now, they're also very forgiving to me and of me. A little too much sun, I learn and I adjust. A little too much water, some leaves yellowing and falling off. That's their way of communicating with me through their own plant body language and cues. And I've learned to read those cues because I care. I know that's what you want as a highly sensitive person. You want people to care enough about you to read your cues, to get to know you. It's probably a way you define love. So a certain kind of love happens between me and my plants. If I forget a watering, they'll wilt to try to communicate to me, hey, I'm thirsty over here. Sometimes their leaves will get too crispy. And that's when I notice, okay, all right, you need some water. So many of my plants, the ones that are really for me, they're mine. They forgive me my imperfections, my mistakes, my messy human ways that impact them. And they have forgiven me time and time and time again. They are resilient. And some of them have bounced back when I thought they were dead as a doornail. They're mirrors for us and friends when we allow it. Number 7, I want to encourage you to dance wildly and freely, barefoot and alone. Maybe in your living room, maybe under moonlight or candlelight. And yeah, bonus points if you go naked. Don't accidentally flash anybody or get arrested for public indecency anywhere you go. But only you can allow yourself to feel fully free and wild. You ever heard the term rewilding? Modern life puts us in these little boxes in front of computers and in cubicles, and we fill out paperwork. I don't think any of that is natural. We were meant to feel free, to luxuriate for some moments in free movement, free of judgment, free of critical voice, free of constraint, free, if you're jumping on board with me, maybe even free of our clothing. What if we can emotionally strength train to feel freer too? Number 8, learn to prepare one deeply nourishing meal, made slowly, deliberately, intentionally, with fresh ingredients, out of love for yourself. See, so many recovering codependents will cook 12-course meals for holidays, to entertain, for everybody else in their neighborhood, on their street, in their life. Have you ever prepared one deeply nourishing meal for yourself? Maybe yourself and one other person? When I shared on an old episode having a moment with a young man in a grocery store over how to cook a whole chicken, I was delighted, but also shocked in my delight by how many of you wrote in to say, I'm trying that whole chicken. I needed that moment too. I've been scared to cook chicken with bones in it, and the whole thing is intimidating. It made me so happy. My Italian roots, I'm half Sicilian, and my New Orleans native culture are an intersection for me. Inside of me, I feel so driven that I want to feed people and nourish people, not just with my words, y'all, but with food. It is a way that I love. Breaking bread is one of the most human things that we can do with ourselves. It's easy to overlook, and with each other. Red beans and rice, a New Orleans staple. That's probably my favorite nourishing meal. I can sit in solitude and enjoy that meal and feel connected to home, connected to my grandparents that were the first people to make that for me, connected to my culture of food and feeding and nourishing, breaking bread. That's how we share time and space in this life with each other. What would your meal be? Number 9, and this might be the most intimate and tender. Cry in the arms, it's going to choke me up as I say it. Cry in the arms of someone safe. Letting yourself be held without shame or explanation. That might be a hard one if you grew up with a lot of harshness, a lot of critical voice, without a lot of soft place to fall, to teach you that it's okay to fall in a soft place. Healing may be finding a great permission that you can't be an island. You're biologically wired to need people. And the toughest, most singular, independent people still we will need, and I mean need, to sometimes cry in the arms of someone safe. That can be someone you know intimately. Depending on certain moments, that could be strangers. Many a stranger has been held by another stranger who sees a car accident and then gets out to help. A few months ago, I went into the city to have dinner with a soul-level sisterly friend. And I was having a hard time. I wasn't feeling good in my body. My chronic pain was acting up. I was having hormonal issues. Yay, femininity and perimenopause. And I just wept. I have held space for thousands of people in my career when they cry to say, just let it out. I'm here. Don't smush that down. Just let it out. And in that moment, she held my hand. She grabbed me. I had just parked a car And she reached over to hold me and I just wept. And she said, "It's okay, let it out. I've got you." And as I say this, little side note, because we are living through a loneliness epidemic. And I want you to know that I've been in Colorado almost 10 full years. And I've met one person who is an exact right fit for me. I have some other acquaintance friends and people that I do things with. But in terms of a soul level friend, these are rare things, y'all. And I say this because highly sensitive people will hear me talk about a friend and will assume I have 20 soul level friends just sort of hanging around that I could just call. People are busy. We are overworked. We are overstressed. We are overscheduled as a society and as a modern culture. Don't be manipulated by the subtle subliminal messaging of these social media times that may really make friendship look so easy, cheap, plentiful. I have said this in private to many a client over the years, and I've started saying it publicly about me as a model of you being able to say it to yourself. I finally can look in the mirror and accept of myself. I am a gem of a person. I'm rare. I am weird in ways that I like about me, and that means a lot of people will not fit me. I want and need on my first row in the theater of my life other rare gems too. I just can't fill those seats with any old body. I have some high standards there, and I have a right to those high standards. I hope I'm doing my part to normalize the truth of deep people and adult friendships being rare gems instead of like a dime a dozen. If you don't have such a person who can hold you, who can be a soft place to fall, then your bucket list item, if you choose to accept this as the challenge, is to be open and on the lookout for front row people, for other gems that can be gems like you're a gem, and to look for that, to be open to it, without desperation, without fear, without shame, without your story maker creating a "I must be worthless or I would have people" self-harming story. Cry in the arms of someone who is safe and let them hold you without shame, without explanation. Number 10, say no without guilt and yes without fear, even if just once. And then notice how your spirit softens. I'm teaching boundaries in October. You are welcome and invited. It is quite the thing in this life, as a recovering codependent, to learn what it is to embody being able to say no without guilt and yes without fear. To start to move through life with a self-respect that can honor the no's you need to say and the yeses you need to say, without angst, without upset, without emotionally and mentally rehashing yourself into stress, confusion, and into the ground. You get to learn how to say no simply. And you get to learn how to say yes simply too. Not out of people pleasing, not out of fear of rejection or abandonment. Clear yeses and clear nos. Honoring yeses and honoring nos. And if you don't know how to do that, please consider signing up for my boundaries course. This takes emotional strength training. It takes practice, and it takes a deep and nuanced understanding of boundaries and the permissions required to do boundaries, yeses and nos, with clarity, with strength, and with decisiveness. All right, y'all, I'm going to stop there. I do have more for you, but I'm going to release that within my communities. You are invited to explore and enter any of my communities that are right for you. Come to emotionalbadass.com to learn more about me and what I offer. And I will see some of you in the Patreon and in my exclusive communities with the next parts of this list. We will start with 11, light and love, and I will see some of you within those communities. For the rest of you, I will see you on this public feed with a brand new episode. Till then, light and love. And remember, you have every right, even when it's a little scary, to face that fear and learn to live more, thrive, and put down surviving. I am an emotional badass. You are an emotional badass. And together, we are where Moxie meets mindful. Light and love. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.